Hey guys, what is going on? It's your boy, TheMadKaiger here today. And today guys, we're here with yet another game review. Unfortunately, I don't have a physical copy of said game. It's a digital version of the game. However, the game is free next month if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber. And of course, the game I'm talking about is... Yeah, the game, of course, today, guys, you know what it's going to be because I've been talking about it, voice crack, quite a few times in the last few videos. And the game is Yakuza Kiwammi. And essentially, Yakuza Kiwammi is pretty much a remaster of the first game. Now, the original Yakuza game came out on the PlayStation 2. I never actually played the original version of the game, but I do have it. So maybe one day I'll go back and play the PS2 version so I can make a bit of a comparison. Now, I only have Yakuza Kiwammi, and of course I also have Yakuza 0. I picked them up on the PlayStation Store a couple months back. Actually, I remember I got them on my birthday because my older brother brought me a £50 PlayStation voucher. I'm sure it was on my birthday. It was either on my birthday or Christmas. I think it was my birthday. And they were both on offer for a tenner each. So I thought, you know what? I'll get them. I've heard good things about the Yakuza games. So, you know, I heard they were games that just had a lot of content and had good story and the combat system was really good. And a lot of people, including myself, often say that Shenmue is sort of like a early version of the Yakuza games, and the Yakuza games are essentially Shenmue but more focused in this sort of combat style thing. Now, I've never played Shenmue, but I do have both of the HD remasters, or well, the HD versions of the game. They're not remasters from what I hear, but I hear Shenmue is a game in its own right, and definitely one that I will be checking out, possibly in the future. Now, I started, even though I had Yakuza 0 and Kiwammi, I started Kiwammi first because it was the first game, whereas 0 is basically a prequel set before the first game. So it's one of them things, whether you want to play the game in chronological order, you know, play 0, then 1, or do you want to just play the first game and then find out what happened before? It's the same sort of thing with Star Wars, you know. Can you watch the original trilogy, then watch the prequel trilogy, or do you watch them in chronological order and stuff like that? It's really down to personal preference. You know, you're not missing out on the story because 0 was released after the first game. So, you know, but I will be picking up Yakuza Kiwammi 2. In fact, I'll be getting that for my anniversary from my partner. And as I've said, I'll get her. Oh, got a phone call. Magical clothes change. Look, I've changed clothes in the case of a split second for you guys. I had to go out quickly, so sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, Yakuza Kiwammi is definitely a game in its own right, and definitely one that I'm enjoying. Now, as for how many Yakuza games there are, obviously there was the original Yakuza on the PlayStation 2. I don't know how good the PlayStation 2 version is, but I remember hearing it was a good game for its time. The second one is a bit of a rarity amongst PlayStation 2 collectors, as it's a game that's quite expensive. It's definitely over £50. I've seen the game once in person, but I do believe there was a Wii U version released of the Yakuza 2 as well. Of course, Yakuza, and then of course there was 3, 4 and 5 all released on the PlayStation 3. However, I believe it's either 4 or 5 was a bit of a rarity as it was only a digital game. I can't remember if that's entirely true, but I remember hearing something about that. I think it's 4 or 5 is now on PlayStation Now. So if you've got PlayStation Now, you can play it on there. I will need to get my PlayStation Now back. And of course, there was Yakuza 6, which was released the beginning of this year, I think it was, or last year, end of last year, which I hear is as amazing game. And of course, Yakuza 0 was a prequel released before Yakuza 6. Like I said, there's 2 remastered also known as the Kiwammi games, which again is what we're talking about today. The first one and of course the second one. I think they added new stuff to the game, some new combat mechanisms, and also some extra stuff into the game, activities and things like that. I think that's what they also did. So these are built, they're not just a HD remaster. They have added new stuff. And until I play the original versions of the game, I won't really know what they've added and what they didn't add. And of course, there was also Yakuza Dead Souls on PlayStation 3, which was a zombie-themed Yakuza game. And I have played that game. It was actually pretty decent. Not amazing, but it was something different in the Yakuza series. And I remember it quite fondly. So, yeah, Yakuza. What is Yakuza? Now, some people are going to sit here and say it's Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row set in Japan. It is nothing like Grand Theft Auto. I understand where they're coming from because it's an open world game, but it is nothing like Grand Theft Auto. If anything, it's more like Sleeping Dogs, but only in some aspects, being it more of an Asian-themed game, you know, China, Japan, those sort of regions. So I think Yakuza, again, the story of Yakuza, I don't want to give away too much. The first one, or Kiwammi is what I'm playing, it seems like you're playing as a guy named Kiru, and basically he was sent to prison for the wrong thing, and he's come back, and all these 10 years later, and essentially all the Yakuzas back at him, and it's all set amongst the Yakuza. Hence the title. You know, you can't call a game Yakuza and have it be about the Italian mafia now, can you? But yeah, I do like the Yakuza theme going on. It's definitely a game that's really interesting because, again, if you don't know what the Yakuza is, essentially the Yakuza is the Japanese mafia, very dangerous group of people. And again, I don't want to sit here and say anything bad about the Yakuza, but I will say this: your games are fucking awesome. So again, we all know about, if you don't know about the Yakuza, do some research. There's quite a few interesting documentaries and shows out there, and articles about Yakuza that you can definitely look up and find. If not, play the games. How real to the real thing is it? I don't know, but it definitely captures the element of the Yakuza, and I am enjoying the story. They're very like games that are quite aware that they are focusing on the story. Now, the graphics in this game are definitely a step up from the PlayStation 2 graphics, that's for sure. They're not amazing, but they're definitely decent enough to class as a PlayStation 4 game. As for the sound, again, all the voice acting is in Japanese, which, again, if you've got a game set in Japan and have people speaking English, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. There is a lot of voice acting, but there are parts in the game where there's no voice. It's just grunt and things like that. The game has a very sort of RPG setting to it. The game is basically so many things at once, kind of like how Shenmue was. The game is a beat-em-up game, it's a story-driven game, it's an open-world game, it's an RPG game, and it's got so many side quests. Now, as for the combat is basically a beat-em-up style combat game, and it's really good. And you can switch between 4 different fighting styles, and and each one has its ups and downs. Like there's the rush one, which is a quick combat style, which focuses on fast attack. You've got the brawler style, which is, in my opinion, the all-round one, which is, slower than the rush attack, but it allows you to use weapons, grab people. Then you've got the beast style, which is basically your strongest attack, slow but heavy. And then you've also got the dragon, which is basically a unique one. However, with the dragon one, you have to do some cool stuff to unlock the abilities. And that's where the RPG system comes in for the combat. It uses, an experience system, and you have an experience wheel. You have 4 different sections. However, with the dragon upgrade combat upgrades, you have to do special objectives to unlock those, which I think is really cool, because essentially what you've done is you've lost all your old techniques, because you're basically the dragon of the Kazuma family, basically, and you've lost all your power, your special moves and stuff, so you're trying to learn that back. And there's so many different side quests in the game. A lot of the side quests do involve, having to talk to someone. There's a little life story behind each sub-story, as they're called in the game. And I do like the sub-stories. There's some ones that aren't really nothing special. There's some that try to have a little bit of story to it, but there's each sub-story does. Some of them are quite funny. There was one where I had to give this guy some tissues because he was in the toilet and he didn't have any blimmin' toilet roll. I thought it was quite a quite little funny thing there. The game does have some humour, which I do like. It does feel like an old school RPG where there's a lot of text and things, and it's got the little text noise when text scrolls across the screen, and it does feel like an RPG in those sense of the ways, you know, side missions and stuff like that. But there's also so many activities in these games. Now in Yakuza Kiwammi, some of the highlights are you can go in the arcade, you can play a claw machine, you can play a game called Misu King, which is basically, if you've been to an arcade and you know the Dragon King games and stuff like that, where you get the card and you swipe the cards for your attack, and it basically plays like a rock paper scissors style game. It's got a version of that in Yakuza Kiwammi, and again, it's, you know, it's all based, it's weird because it's based around, you know, girls in bikinis and stuff, but they're meant to be insects. It's really weird, but it's really cool that they actually went that far to try and make a fighting game using that rock paper scissors style combat to be like a realistic, you know, like the real thing in real life. Of course, Misu King I don't think is a real thing, but instead of, you know, they couldn't really take Dragon King or something like that. The game has a lot of other side quests you can do. There's some activities you can do. You can do your normal things like your darts, your billiards. You can go out drinking, eating. There's so many things that you have to do to get 100% in this game, like eat everything at every restaurant, drink every drink, win every race. There's a thing called Pocket Circus, which is basically Pocket Circuit, which is basically like these little cars, and you get parts and you upgrade them and they race around the track, which is really cool. I haven't done a lot of that yet because it's quite annoying, but it's really cool that you've got some traditional Japanese things in there, like you've got your gambling stuff, your poker, your blackjack, your mahjong. You've got like a Japanese version of chess, which I forgot what it's called, but they do have some traditional Japanese stuff in there, where as well as some sort of more modernized. And that's what I like about this game. It has the traditional Japanese stuff, but it also has that really, you know, wide open, weird, you know, Japanese Tokyo, you know, with the arcades and stuff like that we all know and love. And I really, really like all the activities and things you can do. You can do bowling, which I haven't done yet. You can go in the batting cages. You can do karaoke. And I love that about this game. There's so many different things that you can do and you have to do in order to get 100%. And I did a video about 100% games, and I mentioned Yakuza a lot because these games, and I mean all of them, have got so many different things that you have to do in order to get 100%. And you can really, you know, each thing feels amazing. You know, you can be there going off and, you know, just save a little girl, or, you know, beat the shit out of a bunch of Yakuza people, and then the next thing you're in an arcade playing a card battle game with a kid. It's so great. It's so many different things in one. And, you know, a lot of games try to put so many things into one game and fail immensely. Yakuza has done it really well, and I understand where people say, you know, it's like GTA with all the side missions and all the things that you can do. I understand where they're coming from, but I feel Yakuza feels more like an RPG with beat 'em up elements instead of a, you know, and I like that, and that's where I think it's like Shenmue. Like I said, I haven't played Shenmue personally, but a lot of people I know do say Yakuza is kind of a spawn of Shenmue. And one really cool thing about the game is Sega. Sega loves to put Easter eggs in their video games of other video games. Yeah, if you go in the arcade, you can see Sonic and all that in the arcade. I think it's so cool that they put all these little things. You can get the monkeys from Super Monkey Ball and the claw machines. So there's a lot of references and Easter eggs to Sega. Can you find them all? Let me know. I really, really like this game, and I've always liked Sega. Yes, they haven't been the perfect company as of late, but I think the Yakuza series is one of their babies, and they should treat it like one of their babies, because these games are amazing. If you're a fan of beat 'em up games, if you're a fan of RPGs, if you're a fan, well, I say RPGs because it feels like a role-playing game, but at the same time, it's not like your traditional RPG where it's, you know, grinding and you know, having to upgrade each character and stuff. It's got those elements, but it just, because of the amount of stuff that's in the game, it's amazing. I know the first game only has about a 10 to 15 hour long story, but then you've got to bear in mind, if you want 100% the game, you've got to do all of these side quests, all of these upgrades. There's so many different items you can try out and use, upgrade and things like that. One of the really, I love it and I hate it at the same time. There's a character in the game called Goro Majima, and he's basically the guy with the eye patch and, you know, the yellow sort of thing. And for some reason, he just wants to fight you all the time. And it always try different ways to fight you. And you never really know when he's going to pop up. Sometimes he pops up out of nowhere. Other times you can try and avoid him. There was a part where he was dressed up as a police officer. And every time you walk past him, if you had any weapons on you or anything, he would fight you, basically. So for a long time, I kept avoiding him because, but at the same time, you want to fight him, because if you fight him, that's how you start to get your dragon abilities back. And there are other side missions and things that you have to do to get those skills back. And I really do like that. I think he's a great character. He's fucking hilarious. I love him. But he's bloody annoying to fight sometimes, especially when he has his dagger. He's so fucking annoying. The game difficulty is unfair at times. The combat, like I said, is good, but it's not perfect. Sometimes it feels like you're fighting and then you go to do a dash or you try to block and it just seems like whatever you're doing is not working, because it seems like if you're getting attacked, you're constantly getting attacked. And sometimes an enemy's just constantly blocking. Yeah, you have to try and figure your way around it. It's, you know, it's a remake of the first game, so, you know, the combat isn't perfect, but it's really good, if you know what I mean. It's not perfect. There might be a few things that you might go, oh, that's pretty annoying. But once you sort of get used to it and you know what to do and you know how to do your combos and stuff, you can sort of, you know, get around that. Another thing that I do like, and a lot of people might not like, is the game doesn't really use a waypoint system. Now, the game has a map. Again, you can explore the whole of this Tokyo district. And you know, like I said, you've got blue areas, which are story areas. You've got the yellow areas, which are shops. You've got the orange areas, which are restaurants and food and bars. And then you've got your purple areas, which are your entertainment things, like your activities and stuff. And it's cool to explore, and there's things to find out. You can find the card, you can find these keys. So there's some collectibles to find, and you always, you know, whenever you think you've done everything, there's always something else there to do. Whether or not I'm going to 100% this game, I don't know. I think when I finish the story, I probably will go on and play Yakuza 0, because I'm going to get Kiwammi 2 anyway. So maybe when I finish all of the stories, I will go back to them and try and 100% them, because I am enjoying each of them. But again, I don't know. I do want it, because I feel like the more time you put into these games, the more you enjoy it. It's definitely a game, once I start playing, I just don't want to stop, because it's that good. And also, yeah, there's no waypoint. It does tell you where the main missions are, and it does on the map, but there's no arrow telling you where to go. And I do like that, because you sort of get a feel for the map. And it's like the old RPGs where, you know, it had a map and you had to use the map to guide where you go. It's not like impossible to find your way around, but it does sometimes take a little bit of thinking, oh, I've just got to go up here and then turn right. And I do like that. It doesn't hold your hand all the way. It does make you have to think for yourself. And stuff like that. Some of the side quests are a little bit annoying. Like there was a side quest where I had to get this guy scotch, and nowhere I went sold scotch, and it turned out I had to do another side quest where someone gave me an item, and I did another side quest, gave that person the item, they gave me an item, they gave me an item, I gave it to an item, and then I got the whiskey. And then so sometimes you have to complete multiple side quests in order to finish another one. So don't feel bad if you can't finish one straight away. Sometimes it is a multiple side quest thing. And I like that, is that each side quest is its own story. They're not the most in-depth stories, but they're definitely there to try and make you feel like you did something. There are some annoying things, like where you're running around and you go around the corner, there's a bunch of people waiting to fight you. You fight them, you go around the other corner, and then they come after you. You can run away from them. But it seems like the amount of times I'm like, oh, I'm just going over here to do a mission, and I bumped into about 5 different groups of enemies, or had to stop someone because this game does give you a moral dilemma choice, and you know, there are some multiple choice parts in the game. It's got some humor to it, and it's a great game. Yakuza Kiwammi, guys. If you haven't played the original Yakuza and you have a PS4, check out Yakuza Kiwammi. You will not be disappointed. I'm close to finishing the main story. I can feel the end of the game coming. You know when the end of the game's coming, but I've nowhere near completed the game in terms of 100%, because there's so many things that I've got to do in it. Whether I'll do it or go straight onto 0, I don't know. I'll probably just go straight onto 0, but I don't know. Maybe I'll play it a little bit more. Who knows? If I was to give this game a rating, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because, you know, the combat sometimes can be a little bit frustrating, because sometimes, like I said, the blocks don't work and stuff like that. And also the graphics aren't super amazing. But again, it's not about the graphics. These games are about the story and the sheer amount of content you get. You can't go wrong with Yakuza. If you're looking for a game that's going to have a lot of time that you can put into it, I would definitely check it out. It's exclusive to the PlayStation consoles, but like I said, there was a Wii U version of the second game, I believe. I've never seen it in person, but I know it exists. I really am enjoying this game. Can't wait to play more of them. I definitely want to play them all. And let me know in the comments below, guys. Do you like Yakuza? And have you played any Yakuza games? Do you think Shenmue was a spiritual prequel to in terms of the style of game? I don't know. But if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. Sorry there was no actual physical version of the game, but you can get the steelbook version of the game for less than £10 now. Quite a cheap game to find. And also, you can get the game free next month. It's free next month on PlayStation Plus. So if you've got a PlayStation Plus and you don't want to buy Yakuza, wait till the 6th of November, because you can get it for free. And of course, guys, comment below. Let me know what you think of Yakuza. Sorry this isn't the most innovative video, but it's a game that I wanted to talk about, and really enjoying it. Sorry my reviews aren't the best reviews, but hey ho, gotta work with what you got, eh? And of course, guys, subscribe if you haven't already. There will be another Red Dead Redemption stream coming possibly Friday. I'll probably do it Friday, because like I said, I want to do the game as a playthrough, so I will only play it when I'm going to stream. There won't be a stream tonight, unfortunately. It's mine and my partner's night to chill. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to watch this movie, a movie called The Tortured, as it is Halloween, so happy Halloween, guys, as well. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's made by the same people who made Saw, so thought we'd give it a watch. And of course, guys, check out all the social media links in the description below. And of course, have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm sure I can find something to do, as I always say. Take care, guys, and as always, game on. Or should I say, game over.